Another episode of the School Owners Millionaire Barber Mastermind. We got T.O. Harris in here tonight. Y'all, we only have bosses in here. People that have the arrows in their back, they're proven. The Bible says, judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. So if the person has not done anything, if they ain't done nothing, they're not gonna be on here. I'm only gonna bring y'all people that have started from the bottom and went to the top. And tonight, y'all, we got T.O. Harris. He's gonna share a lot about his story. I'm not gonna talk a lot. So T.O., we wanna know from childhood, let's start out at your childhood all the way up to where you are now, because it hadn't always been like this. So welcome, T.O., the floor is yours.
Ooh-wee, from childhood. You know, I'm kind of a half a century now, man. Half a rotation around the earth, but this is beautiful. Welcome. Thank you, Chan, for having me on, man. I think you're one of the most awesome just men of God that's out there. I mean, you meet people and you put them on. That's what I love about, you know, a real man of God. You're not trying to squash anybody down. If you see that they're trying to do something, you say, let's do something together. And I praise God for you, man of God. But from the beginning, I knew I was going to be cutting hair since I was 7 because I wasn't rich enough or didn't have enough money to have anybody else to cut my hair. So my daddy, at 7 years old, cut my hair and I had patches all over my head. So I went to school, and when I went to school, everybody was laughing at me. And one thing that I knew I didn't want to be as a young age was a clown, right? I wanted to be the boss from the time that I knew. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to cut hair from here on. So I went home, I said, Dad, can I get some clippers? My pop said, what, you don't like my haircut? I said, in fact, Pops, I hate your haircut, right? So gave me a pair of clippers, Doc, and a week later, I was cutting everybody in the neighborhood, right? So I went and got some clippers. I got a paper route, man, and I became a mobile barber at 7 or 8 years old. I think by the time I was 10, I was making $100 a week. Man, by the time I was 20 years old, I learned how to parlay business and barbers. I opened my first barbershop, I think, when I was 21. I got married. And now, man, 29 years later, I have 3 schools and 3 cosmetology barber schools that we're working with you to get accredited. I've been open for about 16, 17 years. And only reason I went for accreditation is because I'm living on the beach now, you know, and I'm setting it up for my kids. And I saw what you did for your family. So, you know, this is generational wealth waiting to happen. But the long story short, as I use my ministry, which is I always try to bring and glorify God first. And then I use my barbering and parlay real estate. I'm a real estate agent. I have broker's license. I coach kids in high school and in my community. So, you know, I did all that. I have 17 kids in the NFL right now. So, and my brand, by the grace of God, Nation of Barbers, is getting rich. All 50 states, baby, have a Nation of Barbers, something in it. Either we're on a college campus or we have a barber shop or a barber school going in there. We have an app coming up, Nation of Barber app, where nationally, now that we're going to be accredited, you'll be able to get 300 hours online through my campus, anywhere you at in the world.
Now, T.O., what was you doing in high school?
Oh, I played football, man. I was a high school football player. I was a pretty major high school football player. I got recruited by most of the colleges in America. I ended up coming back to the University of Arizona. That's where I'm at now in Tucson. So I pretty much, man, once I gave my life to Christ, brother, and that's what I love that you talked about. It was like a turnover of the hand. I stopped having to work for resources and the resources start working for me. So that was probably in high school. But I went to 12 different schools for 12 different years because I was a military brat. So my parents fostered me all over the place. But in fostering me, I got with some of the best people. So like in high school, I was with Ricky Hundley, Lamont Hundley, Randy Robbins, all of these cats that was in the NFL. When I was in, and you so when you brought up Bo Jackson and all of those guys, those are my mentors. Those are the guys that take me golfing. Kenny Lofton, DeAndre Whitfield. When it's my birthday, they give me a call and come see me. So when I met you, man, I'm like, you bleed that kind of blood, man. If Minister Farrakhan or Martin Luther King meet you, they'll tell you, they have been in the presence of a king. So we recognize each other.
Now, so when you got out of high school, you were playing football.
Yes.
Did you go to college after that?
Yes, I went to Arizona Western for a couple of years, and then I went to the U of A, and I was on that Desert Storm team, 1993-94. But I was a bench rider. So, you know, that wasn't I can't be a bench rider and nothing. I got to be a player. And I was, you know, when my family came to me and they asked me, they said, are you going to be a pro football player? Do you think that's really logical? You 5'10", 190 pounds, your body's going to be hurting. So they took me to Renter Center. I worked at Renter Center and became the manager of that store probably within 4 or 5 months. And then I realized I'm just selling myself to somebody else for $30,000 a year. When I said I can make $300,000 a year by doing the same thing. So I stopped doing that real quick when I saw the barbering game. So my last year of Renter Center, actually, I took a leave of absence and took all my money I saved up, and I went to Barber Academy and I was married at the time too. So I was trying to be grown at 21 years old, being married, which was the most blessed thing I've ever done, because I've been married for 29 years now. So I was just a little more focused than the average young man at the time. I sold some drugs and selling drugs, brother. I got caught within the first year after I made my first couple of $100,000, and I was on the news and on CNN for a drug peddler. And my father-in-law was an attorney and a judge at the time. So he blessed me and told me, if you willing to change your life around, then I'm willing to put myself on the bench for you. He stepped down and became my attorney, kept me out of prison, and I'm the product of what, you know, that now.
So how was going through that stage? Can you tell us about that?
Oh man, that was some of the most best times of my life, because I thought I was Nino Brown, you know, and at the time, New Jack City and all that was cool, you know? So I thought trying to be famous was a part of what we were trying to do as young African-American children. We thought that was the only way to, you know, to prosperity and to be recognized, and that we were going to get our family out the hood. So any type of way that I was going to get famous, I was going to be there. So I had all the wrong reasons at that time, but I was always called to do something great. So if I was going to be the drug dealer, I was going to be the Nino Brown. You get what I'm saying? And so it was easy for me to have, you know, to be the leader, but I didn't want to lead people the wrong way. And that was because I do have the unction and the leading of the Holy Spirit. And that's a blessing that you only get when you're chosen, because I was really a prime drug kingpin type mentality, because I'm going to win at the end of the day, regardless if you put me out there, I'm winning. I'm going to win.
Now, when he stepped down to be your attorney, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, actually, first thing he tells me is, don't try to go out and try to prove yourself wrong or prove yourself right, because when you go to court, when they put a case against you, they already know what you have done. So what happens is you try to prove yourself to be innocent when they already know what they know. And that's when they catch you, when you try to prove yourself innocent. He said, let's see what put the burden of proof on them. And then you wait back and you see what they have, and then we work from there. So in it, I gave my life to Christ, and boom, everything disappeared. And from there, I went and turned myself in. I said, man, I did something wrong, blah, 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 blah. They said, what did you do wrong? Because everything was gone. So I'm saying it's miraculously disappeared. That's 27 years ago, brother. So it was an amazing feat. So I haven't turned back since then, brother Chad. So my life since then been like a walking resource. I have nonprofits now that I'm involved in. I'm involved with most of the nonprofits in Arizona. But I tell them about the difference between going out there working for money and being a fungible entity. Right? And when you're in the plug-in now, you're a fungible entity. What you guys have found out with NASPIS is if you are in compliance, you are a more fungible entity, right? And that's what you figured out some years ago. That's what our people kind of run from. We run from compliance because we have to show everything. But it's nothing wrong with, I tell people this, I got a personal market money managers and all that different stuff. And they say, how much do you pay them to manage your money? I said, I don't care how much I pay them to manage my money. I care if they're giving me like 25 to 29% that they promise. You get what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to pay the cost, but if you want to have the best people and you don't want to have to worry about it, give it to somebody that have done it before, and don't try to reproduce the wheel. So I've been a master of that, brother. Giving it to somebody who's done it more than me, and I try to be the Henry Ford. I just direct.
Now, when you went to barber school, what year did you go to barber school?
1992.
Tell us about that.
Best time of my life. Like I said, I had just came from Renner Center, playing football. Figured I wasn't gonna be a professional football player, but I knew I wanted to make a lot of money. I went, and we had the black thing, white thing at the time. That was funny because we call it, once we came from Renner Center, it was redneck against color. You know, it was all of this blah, blah, blah. So we had a black side of the barber school and we had a white side of the barber school. And I went into a Caucasian ownership barber school. But I'm the only one that fit in on both sides because I was military bred. So they thought I was the nerd because I'm like sitting in the middle of the class. And so, but I get all the customers. So I tell my instructor, since you don't know how to cut African-American hair, I'll just help you with that. And so I started instructing in barber school. And she gave me the opportunity to fix the hairs of most of the African-American customers. And so in Arizona at the time, we couldn't take African-Americans to our state board for haircuts. They had to be a gentleman cut and it had to be on straight hair. So I had to petition to Arizona and write them a discrimination lawsuit. And this was when I was in barber school about us not being able to cut our hair. I said, you need to get somebody who's trained to check our hair, because that's what I'm gonna be cutting. So we end up going through that before I got in the business. So everybody on my board knows who I am. They know what I do. When I present something by the grace of God, they come right to me. I mean, if I'm going to open my school, they're within 10 days they're at my school opening it up. So that's why we're really on a good platform right now.
Now, when you graduated from barber school, what did you do after that?
I went to a place called Posse's. It actually was a salon, right? Because it was a place called Al's Barbershop, which I ended up at. I went to try to interview him. He was the only black barber in our city, and he had 6 barbers already. So I went to the next best thing, which was the best cosmetology location that was African-American, which was right down the street. So I kept Proposition Al by putting out the best haircuts in town. So I sat there, I took up, and Posse's was actually more business oriented. There was more structured, had more advertisement because they had to do more advertisement. It was women, so they gave me more of the structure side of the business. So she and I started doing hair shows. So that gave me an advantage too, because now I'm a barber that's doing hair shows. So, and I'm not just doing hair competitions. I'm doing full-fledged hair shows with the suits and the booted. I'm going to Barber Brothers every year. I got my people winning at Barber Brothers, and I'm 21 years old, just in the business. So then I go and I understand my elders, right? So I go and all my elders, I go and throw shows and I give them their roses. Every single time. I don't care if there's in the community, I throw a show and I bring up the elders in the community and I give them their roses. So that way I got the older community involved in what we were doing. They're like, oh, we got something to do. We get to get on a suit. We get a dinner. It costs you $75, but yeah, you get all that and you get nice. And then, it's funny because during the shows, you did them before, people get funny and start getting funny. And so you start seeing who you can deal with in business by having those type of shows. So I start partnering with all the businesses that I wasn't gonna be fighting with and say, let's go up together. So therefore, in Tucson right now, by the grace of God, man of God, we have 400 students just in our community. I can send you a video now. They had a party last night that I walked in that I had 250 of my students from my school, bro, just surrounding me. It just made me go into tears because I said over the years, I built a community, and the Hispanic community took more hold of what I'm doing. So it's probably 50 blacks out of the 250. But I didn't care what community I was going to be building. I just wanted to build the community of the kingdom of God, right? And so now I was telling them last night, as soon as I come from being an accredited and you guys help me do this, I'm going to go to them and I'm going to put them on. I said, because that's how I do it. I'm going to just go put them on. So that's how I'm fungible. Because if you keep putting people on, people going to keep putting you on. And so my children now runs my barber schools. I have 3 sons right now, 2 twins that's 22 years old. They've been professionally licensed since they're 16 and then got their instructor's license at 18. Then I have a 25-year-old who's been an instructor for 7 years. So, and then I send them to all the different courses and blah, 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 to keep them the top. Actually, I put them in the hair show last night so they can go out there and bang out all these kids and show why they're the instructors, So we do all the little stuff to show them, hey, Nation of Barbers is coming, but not only are we coming, we're gonna be the top, we're gonna have the top instructors. Once you see my plan, Doc, you'll see my advisors. I have the real Pima medical institutes and stuff like that as my advisor, because we're not playing no more. We're actually taking over.
Tio, when did you start thinking about opening a school?
I opened my school in 2007. I opened my first campus in 2007. It was after my barbershop was pretty rowdy, bro, and some stuff went around my shop and a couple of my friends got murdered and blah, blah, blah. And so I had to slow down what was going on around me. So I try to get the people from around me. So I kind of opened up a school to protect my family from me being in the middle of everything. Cause I was the only urban black shop at the time. And since I was young, all the riffraff came around. So I was breaking up a whole lot of fights and walking in between a whole bunch of people trying to fight. So when that happened, I said, man, I'm gonna open up a school that way I was teaching anyway. I was doing real estate classes. I had a TV show at night that was, praising God. I was preaching at the church, all of this stuff. So I just thought it was better to open up a school and I'll be able to slow down, which it made it more hectic instead of slowing down.
Can you tell us about when you first opened the school?
When I first opened the school, let me tell you when I first opened my shop first and tell you about taking a chance. When I first opened my shop, I was making about $1,500 a week. And this is in 1997, 98, And so that was a whole bunch of money at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I was popping, and people was like, and I was having my first child, and people was like, man, what, you gonna leave ours? You gonna do this? And I said, brother, if I don't leave now, I'll never leave. And I said, I would never be stuck not chasing my dream and chasing somebody else's dream for them. I said, that's a miserable life. When you get to 45 and 50 and you found out you've been chasing somebody else's dream, you're gonna want to start over. So I said, I'm not gonna want to start over. So I'm gonna have me a house and I'm gonna have me a vacation home by 40. And by 40 years old, I had me a full 3-bedroom, 3-bath house on the beach. So I partially retired, And then I told them I was gonna put my children in place. By 40 years old, my oldest son was an instructor. So I was able to put him in place to replace me. And then I was able to come back and build his confidence and let him get struck down, right? And now he went to Phoenix. Now he got the biggest location in Arizona. Mr. Knox was the only accredited school out here. So now we're taking his place with a 25-year-old kid that hopefully have 60 more years in this industry. And plus I have my best friend, which is, he's been in the industry for 30 years. He's my manager, my GM of the shop. So he's there looking over my son every day. So, you couldn't build it any better, like I say. But starting my first school, it was pretty simple because I've always been teaching and I've always been leading. So it was just the ministry of taking and coordinating what our federal, city, state, and federal government wanted. But I never went full-fledged like NASCA's, like I say, because I did my workers on independent contractors. So I don't have any employees. So I got 9 people on my team. I spend $25,000 to $31,000 on each one of those instructors to be on my team as barbers. I give barber instructors and cosmetology instructors, but I give them within time that is not their time. They got keys to all my shop, keys to all my buildings, keys to all my properties. They can cut anytime. They can go to any city and state where it's a Nation of Barber place, and they can cut. They're on this platform. They were just in Chicago this weekend on platform with wellness. So I give them an opportunity to make partnerships. I build on them partnerships, especially if you're doing well. And then I put them on the platform and give them the money to go so that they can promote themselves. So now they're making that extra money, and they don't say, oh man, I'm only getting $500 a week. No, you're getting $500 plus another $2,000 in perks, right? And so I have no complaints. There's not one person that left my company yet, but by the grace of God, the people that will be coming, they're gonna come because they understand. That's what I love about you. I said, when I met Chan, I said, Chan, what do I gotta pay? He said, call me, brother. I said, my man is a visionary, because the first thing people say, that costs $10,000. And I would have threw you $10,000, but that doesn't matter in the scope of where we're going in this kingdom movement. But let me not go there. Go ahead, Chan.
Yeah, we met at the NACA's conference. I mean, you had already opened the school, so the only thing was next was accreditation. So yeah, you're almost there. Now, what did the people say in your city when you started doing all of this stuff? How did you deal with, because you're going to have people, anytime you go to a higher level, the higher the levels, the higher the devil. So how did you deal with those people? Because we got a lot of school owners on here and future school owners. And when they start rising to the top, things are going to start happening. So how did you deal with that?
First of all, I'm dealing with that right now. I'm leaving an organization that I've been with for 27 years. I built the organization. I got the name on my back, Dunbar Barber Academy. That's what I've been for 27 years. But now I'm Nation of Barber. It's a nonprofit organization. And during COVID, I had a little issue where I said, you know what? I know I can go back and get $1 million for the nonprofit. So I'm gonna just not pay this right here so I can be in there, all that stuff, right? But then once it came in, my board wanted to fight with me for the back pay. So I said, I ran this company and I got off the board so it won't be conflict of interest. And so those are the kind of people that will hate on you, the people who think you made a lot of money. But I said, within COVID, I paid all my instructors. I hired a director of compliance so that we can be ready to do something big. I got a CPA that cost me $16,000. I spent another $20,000 on the website. And I said, all of this is going to have your name and brand on it. So if you understand how much you put into your brand, then you are confident about your brand. But when you know you played around with it, you're going to let people tell you anything, because you know it's worth anything. So I share with them, if you're going to try to, just like they did at the conference, be a discounted shop, which we have been, then that's how people are going to treat us. And that's how you treat me. But I said, man, after 40 years of doing it discounted, don't you want to turn the game up? And so when you got a discounted city, as you saying, Chan, and you got people who want to squash you down, those are people that just want to be in your place. So all you got to do is all the dirt that they throw on you, you step on it after they throw it. You know what I'm saying? They're digging a hole for themselves, but they're digging a mountain for you. How
did you get your children to come on board in the business? How did you convince them? What did you do?
Didn't even take any convince. They watched me. The Bible said, train a child in the way he should go, and when he get old, he wants to depart. So they watched me study. They watched me go and coach their basketball teams. They watched me be a man of the community. Cause I'm the big dog out here, bro. I mean, I don't play that stuff. I do what I do. You know what I'm saying? I go and I move. I do. I mean, I walk into the governor's mansion and I walk into the mayor's house. I don't play that stuff. And I walk into the U of A, by the grace of God. They say, who is this kid who walk into the U of A? Then my name pop up on the stadium wall. Then they know who I am. So I did the work for 30 years, bro. So my kids see it. And if your dad the man, it ain't hard to follow. Will Smith and all of them ain't never been that idol. Their dad always been the man.
What advice would you give a future school owner? Because we got a lot of people on here that are barbers, stylists, nail techs. Then a lot of them gonna see it on YouTube. We don't have a lot of school owners right now. it's 2022 and there are about 1,165 NACAS accredited schools, and probably 1 million or more barbers and stylists and nail techs. So what would you tell that person that's thinking about going to that next level, going pro?
First, I'm gonna give them an example of my wife's best friend. My wife's best friend owns an eyelash company called Lashing Out on Main in North Carolina and South Carolina. 10 to 15 years ago, she just started watching how I move and the confidence and the branding. I stopped branding anybody else's stuff. I stopped pushing anybody else's stuff because I say my brand is only as good as me. And so I start putting money into myself and into my brand, into making my brand tighter. And so once people start to recognize your brand just in your little city, regardless if you get NACAS or not, you're gonna be the resource of your city because of your brand. And you cause them to come to you because of your brand. Serve the elderly. That's what my brand says. My brand is healthy barbers, healthy barbershops, healthy community. That's the mantra of my brand. So I gotta go out there and serve the elderly and not talk about it. I gotta serve the children and not talk about it. If somebody asks you to come do something free, it's not, oh, I'm too good to do something free. No, the king is the one that goes out there and do it free. You let your kids and everybody get paid when they go do it. But when you the king, you go out there and do the work. When you the queen, you go out there and do the work. That's what shows the community who's willing to do the work. When the people see you willing to do the work, they will do the work. So that's what I do. I build all my shops. I go in there, I do the floors, I do the cabinets, I do the plumbing. So when they see me done, brother, they go in there and say, let me take care of what he built. And then after I build it, I say, it's yours. If you see all my owners, they say, this is my barber school. And I never dispel it. When they go on to Chicago and they go to their place, they say, I got a barber school in Phoenix. I got a barber school in Tucson. And I say, it is yours. And plus you make more money than me, by the grace of God, but it is yours, right? And so the confidence in that, they keep growing my business and they keep growing my brand because the brand is theirs. So that's why we're gonna be everywhere. And right now we're in Costa Rica, we're in Africa, we're in Mexico and in the United States. So, I mean, once people get a hold of it, it's gonna take off because if you share love and you continue to press into other people, the kingdom, everybody starts pressing in. That's what the Bible tells us. And I'm just trying to keep pressing.
How did you feel about the NACAS conference that you went to?
I thought it was awesome, bro. I thought it was awesome because what it did, it woke me up. I dropped out of college right before I finished college, right? And it's because me and my kid just had an argument about this today because I was telling him nothing is hard unless you don't want to do it. He was like, Dad, it is some stuff that's hard. I'm like, not unless you don't want to do it. I said, so he brought up college. And I said, I dropped out with 20 credits left because I was doing stats. And I said, stats seemed like it was impossible for me. But I said, I had to go do a feasibility study for NACAS and I had to do stats. So it didn't become hard to me then because it was for something that I want. So you got to find out what you really want. Don't get into barber school because you think you're going to make money. Get in there because you're going to empower the kids. Then the money going to be the overflow. So you don't learn stats when you sit there and think I'm doing this to try to get something that I don't want that is going to be for them. But you learn stats when you say this is going to be for something that's purposeful for me. That's how that works.
And when did you first come across me? Were you?
Oh man,
what was that?
I laugh on that because you see how much I talk, Chan, and so my family gets tired of me saying the same thing every day. Like you got 150 videos, and I just listen to you yell at me and tell me you can't do that, and you better pay attention to that. Because I didn't pay attention to details. I paid attention to getting the work done, but the details wasn't done. So when I listened to you, and I went on internet and I looked for NACAS help and this and that and other. And I went on Facebook and on the first page I saw you, and the second page, and the third page, right? Then when I turned you on, you started resonating with me and my family. And then I let them listen to you and they actually heard you. And I said, man, I've been saying this for 150 years, but your voice resonated. So when I heard your voice up there, man, I turned around and like, you guys, what I've been listening to. And you can see, man, I'm very in tune with the kingdom, man, and what goes on. And I don't really mess with a whole bunch of people, man of God. I mean, I do what I do. So when I saw you and I heard you, and then we hugged and we took a picture together, I've been back showing people the picture. I said, man, my man right here, I said, that's power walking. I've been with Bishop T.D. Jakes. I was with Brother Eddie Long them before they passed. That's what I'm saying. I've been from the top, man. I did every little thing. And you got that same spirit. I would call it an earth shaker maker. You know what I'm saying? And the earth shaker maker is someone who trained kings to be king. So kudos to you, my dog.
Well, thank you. Now, when you left the NACA's conference, how are you feeling?
Confident, excited, ready to go, ready to have a 10-year plan, 5-year plan, 3-year plan, everything that I've said. It was just a reverberation of what I heard. It was exciting to me because it was a trip. You know, I'm all over the world every week. So it was just so exciting to have somebody to say what I'm saying. And you said it, and then they said it again. They said it in the slow white folks way. And sometimes that's the only way that you can hear it. And to me, I got a whole bunch of those on my team. And you hear how I talk. I'm a sloppy mouth dude. So sometimes I got to put them up on the film so that they can hear it the white folks way. And I filmed the whole thing, bro. I filmed the whole thing. They were like, you don't got to film it. It's on the paper. I said, nah, I can't talk that good.
Now, so how do you feel about social media? Because you're 50, right?
I'm 50.
Born in what, 71?
72. January 11, 1972.
Okay, so you all right. So, and I'll be 51 this year. So,
boy, what gym you going to, man? I need to put some of that cocoa cream on my face, boy.
I got 3 gyms. I go to Orange Theory. I'm a member of Planet Fitness, Goals Gym. So I believe in health, but you know, of course, when you're a school owner and you get accredited, you get to have a peace of mind, relax. Amen. So Amen. That helps when we have a peace of mind. And of course, once we get connected with the man up there,
that's it. That's it. Come on now. There. Come on now.
No saint or whatever, but I've been connected with him a long time. So that is for everybody that's on here. Once you connect with him, everything else, he gives the increase.
That's all I can talk about. You see that, man. I don't care what I'm on.
Doesn't matter what the doctors say. If you sick or whatever, it's what he says.
That's what I'm talking about.
He has a final word. So I tell everybody, you got to get connected with the man. Because once you connected with him, we all probably been to hell. But when you connect with him, people can look at you, but they can't tell you've been to hell. So I encourage all of y'all to do that. Now, I was going to ask you something, but you made me forget. We started talking about God.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, though.
When I talk about him. But I wanted to ask you something, and it has slipped my mind because we got to talk about that. Oh yeah. So since we a half century old, we used to do the postcards, the business cards, the flyers, local radio, local TV, and then as social media, internet stuff came along. So we had to do things, we really had to work. Mm-hmm. You know, but now it's a little different. So how did you feel about this social media and this new wave coming in? How did you like transition?
Oh, Lord.
Tell me about that.
Lord. Siri hates me, bro, because I try to speak through Siri, and if I called you a good-looking brother, she's gonna call you an ugly mother effer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Siri just messes me up, and my fingers don't type good. It took me a long time to get with the Instagram. So if you look at my site, I only probably have 2,000 people on there. I mean, it took me a long time to get on that, and I had to get my kids because I'm like, oh, I like touch. I like this. You know, that was my world. But then as I started going to Mexico, like I said, I built a world where I can have 3 or 4 days just with God. You know what I'm saying? And so I just go over there, I sit on the beach, and now I learned how to build websites. I mean, I'm building my own website for my sites and stuff like that. I'm learning. I mean, that's why I told my son, I'm editing videos. I'm doing all of that stuff. I told him, yes, that was hard for me because I didn't have the time to do it. And I say, that's what hard. I mean, hard is when you don't have the time to do everything that you want to do. That's what makes it hard. But I say, intellect is and wisdom is, you got Facebook, you got Google, you know what I'm saying? You know, you heard of the GTS, Google that S. So, I mean, you got all of these information. That's how I found you. So nothing's really hard. It's just if you're going to find the information, follow the instruction, and then go through the process to get with what you want. So, like I said, I could have been NASCAR certified 20 years ago. I mean, I've been open for 27 years, but I didn't want to go through the process. So, and now that I'm going through the process, like I told you, as soon as we hang up this phone up and they send us some certificates, I'm gonna say, come do my ISS. It won't hard. I was already ready. You got a document say be ISS ready in a week. So I look at that.
How do you feel about the barbers and stylists that think about opening a school, but they don't take that jump and they just stay in the shop behind the chair? Nothing
wrong with that. I would say structure your life, because I have a bunch of those. Not everybody's not meant to be an owner, bro. One of my best friends, run my spot. He might not even meant to be a manager. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is in business. I got partners that's been behind my chair. They're in my rap group. I have a couple of rap groups. I got a gospel rap group and all of this stuff. And they've been behind the chair 20, 30 years. And they make their little $60,000, $70,000. They happily go home. They go beside the shop. They smoke a blunt. This is a medical marijuana friendly shop. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so they have their lifestyle, and they're very, very happy. They're very satisfied. They live in $300,000 homes. You know what I'm saying? They drive Mercedes when they want. They change cars. They got insurance policies. So ain't nothing wrong with that if you're not ambitious enough to go out there and put a mantle on your back. Because as a business owner, you're carrying all the bills. You're carrying all the problems. You're carrying all the heartache. The average business owner in America only live to be 58 years old if you have a Fortune 500 business. So if you're going to close at least 1 or 2 times. Now we have a structure that COVID and all of this stuff might happen. So, somebody might say you're essential and might not have to, it might have to close. So if you don't have contingency plans for stuff like that now, then, you're not really smart. What happened during COVID, when COVID happens, I want to open 2 more schools. Because I said, damn, the whole world is shut down. This is a great time to open a school, because if Jesus don't come back, I'm going to be the only cosmetology barber school in my state. And I'm going to be the only one that's certified and the only one that not, you get what I'm saying? So my chances that one of my sayings, big dog, is live as though you're going to die tomorrow, but plan as though you're going to live forever.
Can you repeat that?
Live as though you're going to die tomorrow, but plan as though you're going to live forever. I tell my kids that. I go for it, bro. I done did everything. I done been to every country. I live in every country. You know what I'm saying? I tell people if I want to go to Timbuktu, I don't got to worry about it. I get on the plane and I go right now. I don't have to wait till tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people this when I found out it wasn't about money. When I was able to go in the mall and look at any product in the mall and say, give me 10 of those, and it didn't mean nothing, then I said, my purpose, I got to do something else. You know what I'm saying? We got to train people that this not about this, because it didn't make me no happier than get my first pair of Bobos.
Now, how did you get that mindset that you have? Because a lot of people are scared, and especially a lot of people that look like us, even with Joshua and Caleb, they came back.
You want me to go there for real?
They had faith, but the other spies, they were looking at it as fear. So how did you get that?
Do you want me to go there for real? Do you want me to go there for real? For real, for real. This gonna hurt some people's feelings. When I was young and we had to pledge allegiance to the flag, I never accepted any of that. When I went to college and they try to have me pray with everybody over football and all that stuff and have them lay their hands on me, I never accepted any of that. I accepted the kingdom of God from the time I was young. And I accepted that I was a king from the time that I was young. So every time somebody tried to tell me otherwise, it did not agree with me at all. So I don't know anything. Like I said, 7 years old, I made $100. So I never knew. When I moved out my mom and them house, I gave them $15,000 in high school, because I'm like, y'all gonna need some money. You know what I'm saying? Instead of them giving me money. I bought my mom 3 homes. She had a stroke. I bought a house here. She had a stroke. You know what I'm saying? My brothers are living in my shops. I got apartments and everything too. So my families are living in my apartments, in my shops. So I take care of my people, man. And that's always, God just gave that to me since he gave me no daddy except Jesus. So he told me to take care of my people. And I'm very much nepotism nepotist when it comes to our people. And I tell people that I have no shame in that.
What kind of, I guess, daily routine would you recommend for the people that's listening?
Sure, I got my wife. She always tell me, because I go so hard, that I have to pray before I get out of the bed, right? I always thank the Lord, first of all, before you get out of bed, because you get up and you think about what happened last night. And so she always get up and say, this is the day that the Lord have made. So let every man rejoice and be glad in it. That's something her dad taught her. And so that's the first thing, man. Get up every day and rejoice and be glad in the Lord. I try to get up before everybody else get up. And I don't sleep anyway, but because God gave me that gift. But I try to get up early in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock, and be ready and have my stuff planned before the day is out, because I'm a definite planner. Then, maybe walk my dog and do some sit-ups and push-ups. Since I'm my age, I do the total gym. I think that's absolutely amazing. So my body look like a 50-year-old God, you know what I'm saying? and then I, at the end of the day, after I get home, sometimes I let work wear on me, and that's where I would say I could do better. So once you get away from work, man, let work stay at work. Even if you work with your family, even if you work with people that you care about, and they in the same atmosphere, you got to cut that off sometime, because you got to let work take care of itself. Because if work becomes your lifestyle, then you become your work and you own a job. I did that for years, and it almost drove me crazy. It gave me heartache. And I said, I'm not going to be the 58-year-old unless I get, if my parachute don't open when I jump off this plane in a couple of weeks, then that's how I want to die, something like that. But other than that, no, I ain't trying to die letting letting people kill me.
What would you tell a young beauty professional, young barber, stylist, and nail tech, somebody just going to school and getting ready to graduate, and somebody probably that just graduated, what advice would you give them?
No, whatever work you put in school, all that work is in you, right? And you already had what you had before you went to school, but all they did was try to hone it. So if you put in the work, you are confident, you are a bad mother, shut your mouth. And if you didn't put in the work, spend some more time in your school. You don't have to go out into the real world, because any school that I know will let you wait until you prepare. Make sure you have 4 or 5 customers when you go into somebody's shop, or you become a detriment unless you go into supercuts or great clips, which is cool, right? But you become a number, and they want you to produce a certain kind of quantity number. But if you want to become a brand, because every independent contractor, baby, you can go get a license and you're a brand. And in a year or two, you can go use that and get money and grants, and now you're a fungible entity. So become fungible within yourself, brand yourself. Be dependent on a team of people, but brand yourself and find people that will support your brand.
I don't know if I asked you or not, but what about the people that are scared? They're scared to jump out the plane. They're scared to go to the next level.
Come work for me, period. I don't mind you being scared. I mean, everybody's not meant to do that. Come work for me. I'm still to make sure you're taken care of. Ain't nothing wrong with being scared to jump. My wife always tell me, Tio, ain't everybody not like you. Everybody's not gonna do that. She say, but I go to work and I produce the administrative work, and I make sure that your paperwork is done and then blah, 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 blah. So everybody's not meant to go out there and start a shop. Just because you are a good artist don't mean you're a good businessman. Sometimes being a good businessman makes you be a sucky artist, because you can't do this there. And when I was doing my app, it took me a long time, because my app developer said, I can't communicate with you and blah, 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 blah. And she was acting like I was too dumb. I'm like, no, you too poor of a communicator to communicate to somebody who don't know what you know, right? So you know what you know. So if you're able to communicate it to your client, go out there and make some money. If not, go to find a school that's gonna teach you how to make money, because cutting hair and all of that stuff ain't gonna let you make money. Being able to communicate with your clients is what makes you make the money.
When you first opened your school, since you was the only instructor, I guess the only employee.
Man, as you see how hyper I am at 50, so you can imagine me at 20 something. You know what I'm saying? That was nothing for me. I come to school every day whistling Dixie. I used to make this word called McNarvelous. because I used to feel magnificent and marvelous at the same time. So I used to come in there and I tell my student, how are you feeling? I said, because I feel marvelous. If you have a great day and you got a chance to do your own thing and you get to choose what time you come to work every day, if I can send y'all home every day and say, I gave you credit, but I don't choose to, but I say, I can do that if I want to, and blah, blah, blah. So I used to just make jokes with them. If you cussed in my school, you used to have to do push-ups, right? So you had to do 25 push-ups, but when I gave you a push-up, I got down and did the push-up with you. So I made it fun for them. So I have customers that used to come in there, brother, and put $5 right in the jar and go blah, 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 blah. And we get in the floor and do push-ups. But it made it cool because nobody could out-push up me at the time. You get what I'm saying? And it made it seem like that this dude is cool. He'll do push-up. Now, yes, he don't like you to cuss, but it's kind of fun and joke. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't make it a big thing where I made it a high-profile intervention every time somebody did something that I didn't like just because it made me feel uncomfortable. What I did was try to make my space feel like, hey, man, you're in the presence of a king, so be respectable, but I'll bend a little bit because this is your home. And in your home, I don't know what you do. So I'm going to give you a little leeway, but these are my perimeters.